You move through the world with a presence you do not fully recognize in yourself. You are accustomed to your own energy, your own way of being, and you likely underestimate the impact you have on others. But the avoidant sees something in you that makes them deeply uncomfortable in ways they struggle to articulate. Your energy is intimidating to them, not because you are aggressive or domineering, but because you possess qualities that expose everything they lack. You represent a level of wholeness, confidence, and emotional security that their defensive structure cannot handle. They are drawn to you and simultaneously terrified of you. And this conflict is rooted in the gap between how you see yourself and how they experience you. You are more secure than you realize. You likely think of yourself as still healing, still working on yourself, still figuring things out. But to the avoidant, you radiate a security that is profoundly threatening. You are comfortable in your own skin in ways they will never be. You can be alone without feeling empty. You can connect without losing yourself. You have done enough internal work that you do not need external validation to feel worthy. This security is not something you broadcast or perform. It is simply how you exist. But the avoidant picks up on it immediately because it is the opposite of their internal experience. They live in constant fear of abandonment, masked as indifference. You live in genuine self-sufficiency that does not require masks. Your energy intimidates them because it highlights the chasm between their performed independence and your actual wholeness. You have standards they cannot meet. The avoidant is intimidated by your energy because you carry yourself like someone who knows what they deserve and will not settle for less. You are not desperate for connection. You are not willing to compromise your peace for proximity to someone emotionally unavailable. You have boundaries that are clear and non-negotiable. This is intimidating because it means the avoidant cannot manipulate you with the tactics that have worked on others. They cannot keep you hooked with breadcrumbs. They cannot make you question your worth by being inconsistent. They cannot control the dynamic through withdrawal because you will simply let them go rather than chase. Your standards are intimidating because meeting them would require the avoidant to show up in ways they are not currently capable of, and they know it. You see through their performance. Part of what makes your energy so intimidating is that the avoidant cannot fool you. You see their patterns clearly. You recognize their distance as fear rather than strength. You understand that their emotional unavailability is wounding rather than preference. This clarity is deeply unsettling for someone whose entire relational strategy depends on people misinterpreting their behavior. The avoidant needs partners who will view their detachment as mysterious, their inconsistency as them being busy, their coldness as them just needing space. But you do not buy any of it. You see them for exactly who they are, someone deeply wounded who uses distance to protect themselves from intimacy. Your ability to see through their performance strips away the protection the performance provides, and being seen this clearly is one of the most intimidating experiences the avoidant can have. You do not need them to be whole. The avoidant is accustomed to people who organize their lives around them, who make the avoidant's availability central to their happiness, who need the avoidant in ways that give the avoidant power. But your energy communicates something entirely different. You are whole with or without them. You have interests, friendships, goals, passions that exist completely independent of whether they participate in your life. You want them, but you do not need them. And this distinction is profoundly intimidating. The avoidant does not know how to relate to someone who is genuinely self-sufficient. All their tactics depend on creating scarcity of their presence to increase their value. But you do not experience scarcity of connection because you are not dependent on them for fulfillment. Your self-sufficiency intimidates them because it means they cannot use withdrawal as leverage, cannot make you compete for their attention, cannot maintain the power dynamic they rely on to feel safe. You challenge them to grow. Your energy is intimidating because simply being around you reveals how much work the avoidant has left to do. You are evidence that healing is possible, that secure attachment is real, that people can do the difficult internal work required to show up in relationships. The avoidant looks at you and sees everything they could be if they were brave enough to face their trauma. This comparison is not something you are creating intentionally. It is simply the natural result of you being further along in your healing journey than they are. Your presence is a mirror reflecting their stagnation, and mirrors are always intimidating to people who are avoiding looking at themselves. The avoidant is intimidated by your energy because you represent the person they know they should become, but are too afraid to pursue becoming. Why they retreat from what they actually need. The tragedy is that your intimidating energy is exactly what the avoidant needs. You are secure enough to provide the safe environment where they could heal. You are strong enough to maintain boundaries without becoming cold. You are whole enough that you would not lose yourself in their patterns. But because you possess these qualities, because your energy is so different from what they are used to, they find you too intimidating to fully engage with. They retreat from you, not because you are too much, but because you are exactly enough, and exactly enough requires them to step up in ways that terrify them. You do not see yourself the way they do. You see your flaws, your ongoing growth, your humanity, but they see someone who has achieved a level of emotional maturity they have not reached, and that gap is intimidating enough to make them choose familiar dysfunction over the uncomfortable growth that being with you would require.